Week 7 has come and gone. We had some just crazy games, some goofy games, some games that have broken me as a person. Dave KLuge, we're going to talk about that today with our Week 7 risers and fallers and players that are just on the right trajectory going into Week 8 of fantasy football. Dave, your Bears won. Congrats. Cool. Whatever. You know what? Start us off with something positive. Start us off with something positive. Say something cool about Week 7. Say something nice about Week 7.
Something cool about week 7. I don't know. I mean, it seems like the Giants are more than just like this fluky thing that happens at home. I know that they lost, but I mean, they were going up against the one of the best defenses in the league on the road in Denver, like a very, very tough one. And I know, I mean, that fourth quarter meltdown, blowing a 19-point lead, giving up 33 points in the fourth quarter doesn't feel good. But up until then, they were hanging in it. And I feel like, that's one of those moral victories, even if like it absolutely crushed the locker room. It was kind of cool to see Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo and these guys that we weren't really sure if they were real or not going into a very tough environment and at least holding their own.
So I tell you to start us off with something good, and you start off with the one of the biggest meltdowns in NFL history in a fourth quarter. Insane. Let's talk about
You
that.
put me on the spot. We could also talk about Thursday Night Football. Joe
No,
Flacco
no, no, no.
resuscitating the Bengals.
That's
There's a lot
that's
of good to
fine.
take away from the
We'll,
weekend.
we'll we'll get there. Let's start off with that one though. Let's start off with the Broncos versus the Giants. Broncos defeat the Giants 33-32 in what is one of the biggest, greatest, best comebacks in NFL history. Scoring that many points in the fourth quarter, absolutely insane. Missing extra points for the Giants.
Hmm.
And like the defense, Brian Burns was livid after that game, complaining that they're dropping 8 players in coverage and just allowing the Broncos to do whatever they want. Through 3 quarters, we looked at Bo Nix and said, this is not a good quarterback. This
Right.
guy has regressed so far. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter, he and Cortland Sutton connecting. The team was looking like just totally different. And then the Giants just kept stepping on their own feet as this game went on.
Yeah. I mean, it was a tough one, but it was good to see Knicks kind of go back to the player that I think a lot of people drafted him to be. This guy was going off the board. It's like the QB7, QB8, QB9, and we finally got like that huge blow up performance. I've looked at a few different scorings, but like the football guys, standard scoring, 6 point touchdowns, 46.75 fantasy points. That is by far the best performance of the season. And you talk about it like, we got Cortland Sutton going a little bit later, but targets were split kind of all over the place. We saw 10 targets going Sutton's way. We saw 7 going Marvin Mims' way, 10 going to Troy Franklin, and then 8 to Evan Ingram, who's steadily been warming up as well. So I think this is what the Broncos needed because like they haven't had a normal game this year. And this definitely wasn't a normal game, but I think this kind of gives them that mojo to feel like, no matter how bad it is, no matter how much they are up against a wall, like they could still crawl out of any game that they need to.
Well, we do this whole episode, do the risers and fallers. Who's your riser from this game?
Ooh, I did the same thing I did last week, and I forgot to pull it up, and I'm looking at my notes right now.
Okay,
I got
it's
a couple
Tyrone
of risers.
Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy, yeah. I think Tyrone Tracy, seeing him involved, 5.1 yards per touch, we like that. Had the big touchdown run, of course, and that's where the majority of his yardage came from. But I think a lot of people just thought that it was going to be like 100% Cam Scadaboo. Like we'd see like 2 touches going to Tracy, 1 touch going to Devin Singletary. And now Singletary, he's still a little bit involved, but Tyrone Tracy, now a week removed from his return from that shoulder injury, it was good to see him getting a little bit more work. So I don't think there's enough that we should be concerned about Cam Scadaboo. I think given how he plays, just getting some time off in between drives every now and then might be good for him. But I think that Tyrone Tracy, we know he's kind of that injury away stash, but also might have some flex appeal as well.
I was not sure who to put as the riser here because a lot of the guys that had good games have already been having good games throughout
Right.
the season. Like the only guy that I really found that is kind of a riser, but I don't even know how much it matters. It's Evan Ingram,
Yeah.
who, Dave, it's been 4 straight weeks of 6 or more targets. This week was the highest, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 42 yards. The problem is that he's not within the top 12 of fantasy tight ends throughout these weeks. So it's like the role is growing. The offense is still bad. The catches are all by the line of scrimmage, which is what we've seen throughout Evan Ingram's career, which is what we figured would happen here with Sean Payton, and it's just not turning into anything. Like there's not really there's not the touchdowns that we want to see either with this team or with Evan Ingram, but I still put him as a riser because I think there's like some small bit of hope there with how bad the tight end position is. Let's go to the
And
followers.
he was my riser last week just because like it's just that like just being somewhat involved is enough to like peak interest as a tight end out here. And I think he's only playing, they don't have the info ready yet, but it's like somewhere between like 60 and 65% of the snaps. So still very much so a part-time player that if we can see him get up to like a 70, 80, 90% snap share and he can maintain this sort of usage, then we're looking at a guy that we do feel good about as a tight end one.
Yeah, he's out. He was at his highest snap share of the season so far. Just taking a look at it here, 45 out of 81 snaps. So do the math, just a little over 50% there.
60%, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's his highest of the season. It's good. He's a riser. Don't know how much it matters for fantasy right now.
Right.
Let's take a look at the fallers here, Dave. Bold. You put none.
I don't think there was really anybody that you can like say was a faller in this
RJ
game.
Harvey.
I mean,
I think
sure,
he can keep it's the Dennis from Always Sunny meme. I can go
I
lower.
can go lower. Yeah.
Like he's going lower every single week, and I don't. There's another rookie running back just like this. I just don't think there's any hope left.
Yeah. And I mean, like looking at my rest of season rankings, I wanted to move him down because it was a bad performance, but I've been moving him down all season. And like the guys I have directly behind him, Bayshall Tootin, Woody Marks, Blake Corum, Tyrone Tracy, like I can't move him behind those guys, I don't think, because the upside is still there. So yeah, probably a faller in the respect that like you aren't starting him, but I don't think many people were starting him going into this game anyway. So I think this is one where there was like enough good scoring. And there's a couple games like that where it was just like these high scoring games that you can't really say anybody was like a big time faller. I guess RJ Harvey probably makes the most sense, but even that, like, what he falls from like not
He
wanting
caught a
to put in your
touchdown,
flex spot to,
and I'm like,
definitely
I'm still
wanting to
not
put in your
into
flex
it.
spot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's getting like 6 opportunities a game. I'm not even talking 6 carries, 6 opportunities.
Right.
It's just not there for him. It's not there for him. Sean Payton hates fantasy football. You get all the boogies out.
Oh, dude, fighting for my life out here, but we'll be all
rough.
right.
It's rough. I appreciate you fighting through. Okay, I need to get this out of the way. I need to talk about this game because it's hurting my soul, and I can't allow this team to control me anymore as a human. Dave, the Miami Dolphins lose to the Cleveland Browns, 31-6.
Yeah.
I put this out on Twitter. I do believe the Miami Dolphins are the worst franchise in the NFL right now. Despite what Jets fans might say, despite what anyone else might say, the Miami Dolphins lost to a team that we all thought might have been the worst in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
31-6.
Not just lost, like beat down.
Beat down. It has never been so over for the Miami Dolphins, for Tua Tagovailoa, for Mike McDaniel, for Chris Greer, for everyone. And I thought, stupid me for just having fandom. I thought that if I went into fantasy football, I'd stop being a fan and I could move on. I could separate the two. No. And they gaslit me into having hope that, oh, you know what? They scored 70 points that one game against the Broncos a few years ago. They had a comeback against the Ravens a few years ago. Oh, we made the playoffs. Only to be embarrassed every single year. Dave Tua Tagovailoa, 15 turnovers in his last 7 games. It's insane. He has the most 2+ interception games in the NFL since 2022 with 12 of them. He has the most 3+ interception games in the NFL since 2022 with 6 of them. Over 79 million, potentially 99 million, I've seen in other reports, in dead cap. The team cannot get rid of him. The team can't do anything. They're holding on to the same coach. They're holding on to the same GM. I cannot imagine that this team, the players, the production, any of it gets better. They are all my fallers from this game. I'm done. I'm done with the Dolphins. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you got to ride this through at least 2026, 140 million if they move on this year, 100 million if they move on the year after that. I mean, it's bad. Like they gave him a $212 million contract. Uh-oh. Are you cutting it up?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I'm doing it.
Oh,
I'm doing
no.
it. It's over. I said I would never do the demonstrative nonsense.
Oh,
I'm done. It's just I can't let them hurt me anymore, Dave. I have to get out for my own mental health and my sanity. It's just
I'm
it's
sorry to hear.
it's not great. It's not great. It's
The
not
worst I've
great.
ever
Keep
felt
saying
for you
things.
was a couple of years ago, wild card weekend. We were all in Vegas watching the game together, and you showed up in your Tua Tagovailoa jersey, and I just watched you just like slowly start to slump more and more and
You
more
mean
and
this
more and more
one?
in this year.
You mean
Yeah.
this one? This
Oh, don't tell me
stupid
you're cutting
thing?
that one up too. Yeah, I mean it's
The scissors
it's
aren't
tough
strong
out.
enough for that.
And I think the problem, like, we can talk about all the on-field stuff, but it's so much more of a bigger issue than what's happening on the field. Like Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, they seem to hate each other, and they're just like constantly throwing shade and pointing
Maybe it's you,
fingers, and nobody
bro.
wants to take
Maybe it's you,
blame.
Tua, when Brian Flores doesn't like you and Mike McDaniel doesn't like you and your teammates don't like you and now the fan crashing out. I'm sorry. Keep going.
So we talked a little bit about this last week, and I think the problem with Tua is like you can be different types of people, and I think that you can find success anyway. Like you look at Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is like, I'm spending Saturdays with my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm going to shop at Kohl's. I'm going to do all these things, and that's fine because he plays well on the field. And then you've got like the Tom Brady archetype that it's just like I live and breathe football, and I will lose my wife to win a game. And then you've got Tua, who kind of like every couple of days flip flops back and forth between the two, where he's like, "Oh, I'm a dad. You know, this stuff is bigger than football, and I'm going to be happy regardless of win or lose." And then you've got him like calling out his teammates for accountability and showing up late the very next day. And like, you can't have it both ways. And I think that's the problem with Tua is he doesn't know who he is. Like, he can't be the accountability guy while also saying that you don't care if you win or lose because of your family. You got to pick a camp, and I just don't think Tua knows where he is. It sounds like he's like trying to do something that like a life coach is telling him to do, you know, apologize and take accountability, but he doesn't mean it. And I don't think he even understands the importance of the things that he's trying to say on the podium.
I'm sad. I'm
Sorry
sad
to
as
hear,
hell.
man.
I don't want to hear your rationale.
Yeah, I don't have.
Sound,
I mean,
you sound way too normal talking about this, which
So here's the thing.
lets me know that you haven't been hurt like this from the Dolphins. You have your Bears.
I am a Bears
You have your
fan.
Bears, but you have hope. You have hope right now, Dave. You have hope.
I do, but my fandom, I say this all the time, like fandom should be a pleasant experience. I relish
It's
in the
not.
win, and I'm able to just dissociate from the losses. Like when, you know,
It's an
I said a
abusive
couple years ago,
relationship that you can't leave, Dave. It's an abusive relationship. The Dolphins have not won a playoff game the entire time I have been a fan. They have the longest playoff win drought of any team. The Raiders, the Browns, so many other crappy teams. The Lions went winless and they still win playoff games.
Yeah.
I can't.
I mean, it's been a while since the Bears have won a playoff game. I mean, it was just a few years ago. I remember like Mitch Trubisky throwing a game-winning pass to Javon Wims, like hitting him in the hands in the end zone and him just dropping it, losing the game. And I mean, like when it happens, it sucks. But you know what? I just go about my day, eat lunch, get over it. It's tough. Like and maybe it's because the Bears have been such a bad franchise too. I feel like you're getting to this point where eventually you're just numb to the losses. Like if the Bears win a Super Bowl,
I thought I was.
yeah, I'll be partying in the street. But when they lose, it is what it is.
I thought I was. I said they can't hurt me anymore. Turns out they can. I was wrong. I was wrong. This stupid team and their stupid faces. They're all fallers from this. Risers were Cleveland Browns players. Harold Fannin is one of the only good parts of this team. Still getting targets. Dave, you said Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins too. Not even his best game, but you know, punched in three
It's
touchdowns.
actually kind of bad.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
despite the 3 touchdowns, right? Like it's which I know is a crazy statement. He had the one really long run, but other than that, like it was just kind of ugly. But that's I think a lot
I said
of
the same thing about Devontae Williams, like or Devontae Adams, like wasn't his
now
best
you're
game,
making
but
up players.
3 touchdowns. Devontae Williams, yeah, but yeah, Quinshon Judkins. I mean, fired him up as. You know, we talked about it. Like he was just like a must start top 3 running back this week. And I think that we've seen enough now what, you know, Quinshon Judkins did to him with this week, Rico Dowdle 2 weeks ago, Kamani Vidal last week. I mean, you're just firing up any running back against the Dolphins this year.
Football's stupid. Let's go to the next game. Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-0. Welcome back, Rashee Rice. Absolutely dominated the touches. Patrick Mahomes was so excited to have Rashee Rice back. Like, he just continued to look his way.
Look his way. You saw that no-look pass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like even in the end zone, man, like everything, they're back to doing their quick flips to Rashee Rice. It's like even when Rashee's not open, he's still trying to force the ball to him. Mm-hmm. And so like that's my big winner from this game. It was the targets were just coming in immediately. Also just big winner in general for them. The State Farm commercials, you know, the acting in those commercials paying off. Did you see the Patrick Mahomes moment where they're trying to, They're trying to fake throw the defense off sides. He drops a lovely F bomb. He said, "This never effing works," and they just go for it.
It was
It
pretty
was
cool.
an incredible moment. Incredible moment. That was super cool to see. Um, Dave, you also have Rashee Rice as a riser for you and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, this whole Chiefs offense looks so, so good, and it's awesome that we finally get this trio together. Like, I wrote this big, long think piece last offseason about, like, how fun it would be to have Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown all on the field together. We didn't see it once, and now we finally get a little taste of it, and, I mean, it's just this is a good, good Chiefs team. We haven't seen these explosives in the Chiefs passing attack in a long time. We've also got Patrick Mahomes rushing all over the place. My faller is Xavier Worthy, and, like, not panicking by any means, but like he was getting all of the work, all of the short targets, the little, like you say, the little flip passes, the end arounds, the jet sweeps, all the things that we love about Rashee Rice. We're going Xavier Worthy's way. He only had 4 touches in Rashee Rice's first game back. And what we saw last year when Xavier Worthy, and granted, like it was very early in his career, but Rashee Rice was the guy that was kind of operating as that wide receiver one, and Xavier Worthy was only running deep routes. So I do wonder if we see him going back into that role, which would make him like a Jameson Williams on a better offense. Like you'll have some boom games, you'll have some bust games, but I think looking at him as this guy who's kind of creeping into like low end wide receiver one status, I think this kind of pushes him down those rankings a little bit.
I think he stays around wide receiver 3 status. Like this
Yeah,
is you could throw him in the lineup, and he's kind of one of those high upside flex plays. I don't think he's wide receiver 2 rest of season here. I think the target share is Dave looking at it right now, 11.8% target share in this first game with Rashee Rice. I'm sure that moves around, but same as Marquise Brown. And my faller was even lower. It's Travis Kelce
yeah.
at an 8.8% target share. 3 targets, 3 receptions. He had one of the long receptions down the sideline, but like other than that broken play there really wasn't much from Travis Kelce. And I think like this is the time that if you are the Travis Kelce fantasy manager and you're saying, okay, I still have a big name at tight end, I'm looking to probably trade him, just cash in on this like I guess big game. Sure, if we want to call it that. Move around, man. There's so many other options you can have at tight end. Aronde Gadsden, Harold Fannin. Not that they're available readily to you, but there are just other options, man. Like I'm Travis Kelce, I'm very, very worried. This is the end.
Yeah, and we saw the same thing in week one too, where he had like that one big broken play. And I guess that's the silver lining here for Travis Kelce, if we can find one, is that like defenses just don't care about him anymore. So you'll get like that random pop play every
Offense
now and then,
doesn't
which
care
like
about.
yeah, and I mean that's it. Like every now and then he's gonna have that one play where it's like, oh yeah, we forgot Travis Kelce was out there and he just picked up 40 yards on us. But yeah, the usage has been down, the efficiency has been down, dropping passes, not breaking tackles. It is mostly over for Travis Kelce, who's like what the fifth option in the offense now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. Like Brashard Smith is out here catching plenty of passes. It's
A
just
lot of that
we're
came in
getting a
garbage
lot of
time, but
targets. Sure.
do you like to see
Sure.
it? Do you like to
Yeah,
see it?
I like
Yeah.
that's. I think that's the thing is like you want to see these young guys get involved because that means that their role can grow and expand. It just gets the trust there. Like that's the thing is you have more targets that are coming into this offense.
And if there's one thing to
Um,
take away from Brashard Smith, it is kind of reminiscent of Rashee Rice's rookie season. Remember, we were saying like if this guy could just get more snaps, he would just break fantasy football. And now we're kind of seeing the same thing from Brashard Smith. I mean, he is 3.13 yards per route run, leads all running backs. He's pulling a target on 46% of his routes, leading all targets. So of course the issue is like he's been like a 20% snap player all year, got up to 35% this season. But if he can maintain that efficiency on a bigger role, Brashard Smith could seriously just like break fantasy football late in the year.
I mean, that's what these coaches do, right? Like a lot of times they can't just throw a rookie into the big
Right.
pressure starting situations because if they make a mistake, it totally unravels the offense. But what you do, like when you're up, yeah, let's go get him some snaps. Let's get him some
Right.
confidence. Let us see as a coaching staff that he can handle the things he needs to handle on a weekly basis. So yeah, that like to me shows Rashard Smith role could be growing here. Let's go to that London game. Rams beat the Jaguars 35-7. Just an absolute dog walking. Uh, Jaguars are goofy, man. They're
Mhm.
goofy. I don't really even know. Like, I feel like I've been saying this for a year now. I don't really know that Trevor Lawrence is actually good. I think he is.
Talented.
Sure, he's Carson
Yeah.
Wentz.
Yeah.
He's Carson
100%.
Wentz. He's got traits. He can win some games. I don't think that he is a playoff or Super Bowl quarterback. I don't think that the team wins the game because of him. he manages the game. And I think that's probably what we're going to end up seeing from Trevor Lawrence over the next few years, where I don't see a guy that's taking the step. I didn't even put him as my faller here. I think the obvious faller for both of us was Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
because of just the performance, the injury late in the game, which I don't want to speculate. Dave, did it seem weird to you?
Yeah, there was like nothing. Like it was just like a regular little like just
Mm-hmm.
a quick little chip. Like they just kind of collided, and then he like grabbed his shoulder, and then he
But
grabbed his elbow,
there
then he
wasn't
grabbed his
like a
wrist.
yeah.
He's just like
I'm
something
I'm
hurts.
not
Get me
gonna,
off this field. I don't want to be here anymore.
it's like when a little kid gets hurt and then you ask him like, where does it hurt? Like everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just like, you cut your finger, like you're
Yeah. So
good. They're
I
like
don't even know
grabbing their
what
knee.
I know he's been dealing with that wrist injury all year, and I wonder if that was it. Like just like when he like jammed up with the defender, if maybe he did something to his wrist. But
It
yeah,
didn't
it
even
did.
look like it was a hard jam. Like
I know.
it quite literally looked like a touch, like a tap,
Yeah.
and then the shoulder was grabbed.
Yeah.
It was very strange. I'm not trying to insinuate that there's not an injury, but it was just a very strange look where even the broadcasters were like, I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. And Alfredo, you go to the gym, like when you're like,
Sometimes.
doing a pressing exercise and you just like can't get that last rep out. What do you always do? You sit back in the chair and kind of massage your shoulder and you're like, ooh, yeah, that didn't feel right. You got to let everybody know, like, I could normally do this, but I'm just not 100% today. And after every
It's
Brian Thomas missed play and drop pass yesterday, he was
where they look at
shaking
the
his
hands.
wrist and holding on to it and looking
Yeah.
like, ooh, yeah, that hurts a little. Like, we know what's
Uh-huh.
going on here. Like, I don't, I've been saying it all season that this is just a square peg in a round hole. Like, I never in my life ever again want to see Brian Thomas Jr. going across the middle of the field catching a ball through traffic. I think he is physically incapable of doing it. Like gets a short little alligator arms, like doesn't go after the ball. He's afraid of contact, which is fine. There are a lot of NFL players that can't play in that role, but stop making him do it. Like it's benefiting nobody to ask him to do things that he can't do successfully. Keep him outside, keep him on the boundary, let him ride the rail, let him run those 9 routes. That's what he does best. And now you know that Travis Hunter, after seeing that big blow up game from him, he can do those things across the middle of the field. He can make defenders miss. He can catch the ball through traffic. We have been talking about this since April, like exactly what this offense should look like. And it just seems like they haven't been able to figure it out. They just like, well, Brian Thomas Jr. can't do these things. So we'll just phase him out and we'll get Parker Washington doing them instead. No, Brian Thomas Jr. is a good outside receiver, but keep him in that role. Don't ask him to do things he can't do.
My riser from this game was Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And I think this is more football based than fantasy based, but I think it's just like it's going to remind us that the Rams offense is really good and that these guys like Kyron, Devontae, Puka, like let's never sleep on him again with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. And I know that I don't want it to feel like it's a recency bias, but there's not many quarterbacks playing better football than Matthew Stafford. I think he belongs in that MVP race. It's Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes is playing really well right now. Um, Dave, I think those would be my top 3 candidates for MVP right now, which it's weird to
Daniel
not have.
Jones. I
Okay.
mean, it's been a lot of Jonathan Taylor, but Daniel Jones, man, he's been balling out there this year.
I mean, would he not be comeback player of the year? Would he be the
That
first
too.
player to win comeback player of the year twice? Didn't he win
Potentially,
it
yeah.
before? Like how many times can you come back, man? Like it's at some point maybe you're just a volatile player.
Yeah, and,
But
and that's what it is, and he's in a good environment right now.
yeah, so Matthew Stafford, I mean the Rams are just playing awesome football. I don't think there's even much more to add to that. Just it's fantastic football from the Rams. Dave, your riser, Travis Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it like nothing going into halftime and then finishes the game with 101 yards and a touchdown. He can take
First
over
touchdown of his
games.
career.
First touchdown of his career, right? And he can just take over games, and we saw that. It didn't lead to a win. They were just playing from way too far behind, but like he's a special talent, and we finally
Special
saw
boy.
the offensive role grow. 67 of 77 offensive snaps. They're still using him a little bit on defense here and there, but I think they know like the Jaguars have a good defense, and Travis Hunter was a part of that good defense, but they can remove him from the defense
Secondary's
and
rough.
still,
That's
yeah,
the
but
thing. Secondary is rough, and he had a really nice rep on Devontae Adams where he was able
mhm.
to stop it. I know that we want him to be a wide receiver more, and maybe with a Brian Thomas Jr. injury, he does play more wide
I
receiver.
think that's it. Yeah.
But like the Jags do have to figure some stuff out, and Travis Hunter is one of their better, maybe even best defensive back that they have in the corner room.
Right. I just think that a wide receiver is more valuable, especially if like the main initiative here with an offensive minded coach, an offensive minded GM is to get Trevor Lawrence playing his best football. I don't think you want him out there throwing the ball to Parker Washington and Diami Brown 25 times a game. Like you want to get Travis Hunter involved. So we'll see what happens with this Brian Thomas Jr. injury. Like wouldn't surprise me if he plays again next week and just, wanted to get to the locker room a little bit early
Get
on,
out,
on
yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, we'll, we'll
Just
we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, Travis Hunter looked good, and if Brian Thomas Jr. does have to miss time, Travis Hunter is going to be in my top 20 next week.
what's crazy is that like Travis Hunter plays both of the positions where the Jaguars have the most struggles,
Right.
and they're still struggling because they're just like not using him enough. Like they just have him running routes, but not always targeting him. They have him playing some corner, but not enough corner where he's really truly making an impact. It's just you moved mountains to go and get this guy as the number
Right.
2 overall pick, and then you're just not using him. Like, screw it, go all in. Like use him on corner, use him at corner, use him at wide receiver, give him 70-80% of the snaps there. Just at this point, like, what do you have to lose? You drafted this player for
Exactly.
a reason. Like the team,
I want to see
even though
one game where they
they're
just do like 100% on both sides of the ball and just like,
just
hey,
let him do
Dion
it.
said he can do it. Let's see what happens.
He says he can do it. Just
Right.
let him do it. I don't understand it. Let's go to the next game. This one should make you happy, I think. It was actually a weird game. It didn't even feel like a good win for the Bears, but Bears
Yeah.
defeat the Saints 26-14. It was one of those like ugly wins where you got to see some of the weaknesses of the Bears.
Mhm.
Um, the offense was like a little up and down. It was just a very low volume passing game from Caleb. Who's your biggest riser from this game, Dave?
I've got two, DeAndre Swift and Colson Loveland. I mean, DeAndre Swift, this is back-to-back really good games now that we have seen from DeAndre Swift. And I remember talking to him about him as a buy low after the first few weeks of the season because the opportunities were there. The expected fantasy points were there. He just wasn't scoring touchdowns and he wasn't hitting the big plays. But this offensive line, since coming out of the bye, we know they invested a ton of money up front in that interior offensive line. Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, and they're all playing well now. And this is what DeAndre Swift needs. If you put him behind a bad offensive line, he's not going to do anything at all. But if you can pave the way for him and let him get into the secondary with a full head of steam, he's tough to bring down. And he's got that ability to just change direction without losing speed at all. And now we're starting to see those big plays from DeAndre Swift. So a big riser for me, a guy that I'm looking at is like a middling to high end RB2 going forward. Then also Colson Loveland. We did get the Cole Kmet injury, but even going into this week, last week, Cole Kmet had more routes, more targets, and more receptions than Cole Kmet. He looked good in this opportunity. We're seeing him getting trusted as a blocker. They're using him as that swing blocker who's kind of going out as the lead man out on some of these outside zone runs. He has steadily looked better and better and better. Not ready to put him in fantasy lineups yet, but I think even in your shallower leagues, he's worth a pickup in a stash.
My riser from this one, Chris Olave,
Oh, yeah.
because we finally got the touchdown regression that we've been searching for. And yes, it is regression. Anything that regresses to the mean of where it should be is regression. Look it up. Don't leave angry comments on this. But he gets 2 touchdowns in this game, Dave, while still retaining the same level of target volume that he's had. Uh, I don't want to say that Spencer Rattler looked good because he still had some Spencer Rattler moments, but he just looks very competent as a quarterback. And I think that's all we really need for this season is to allow Chris Olave to keep being a good fantasy starter. I think he's just a wide receiver 2 rest of the season because of volume, because of where he's at. I don't think we're going to get the crazy touchdowns like this every week, but I mean, Dave, it's even against tough opponents, Olave's been fine. Like the volume just kind of cures all.
Yeah, I believe he's leading the league in targets. If not, he's
Yeah, he
way
is.
up there. Like he's just been getting a ton. And Rattler, it's kind of funny. This team moved on from Jameis Winston, and for so long we wanted Jameis Winston to be the starter in New Orleans. And I feel like there is a little bit of Jameis Winston in Spencer Rattler's game. Like he's just gonna rip it downfield and let his guys make plays, and that is great for a guy like Chris Olave who can make those plays. So yeah, I mean, definitely a riser just because we finally saw him getting the touchdowns. But yeah, Olave, just a plug and play wide receiver too.
Yeah, Chris Olave. Yeah. No, it looks like after this week, Jamar Chase will be leading.
All right.
Um,
That makes sense when you
but
get
that's because
22
Jamar
targets in a
Chase had a
game.
crazy game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, wild, just absolutely wild. But yeah, he's like I think he's 1 spot behind Jamar Chase, second in the league in targets. Dave, who's your faller from this game? I think I know. I mean, I see it, but I figured this would be your faller.
Yeah, and then, Romadunze, I mean, just so hot to start the season, like scoring a touchdown every single week since the bye. He's cooled off a little bit. And there have been some near misses here, but I know, there are a lot of people, and I was one of them, talking about how, like, hey, maybe Romadunze is taking that ascension, and we're going to look at him as like an elite plug and play wide receiver one. And I still think that when we're looking at him, he's probably a top 10, top 15 guy rest of season. But I think people saw, an improved offense. Caleb Williams taking that step in year two, a top 10 pick, kind of being the wide receiver one on the team. But the reality is this ball does get spread around so much. Like DJ Moore's still involved, Zacchaeus is still involved, Burden, Colston, Loveland, Komet, like all of these guys are getting looks. So Romadunze, you're still putting him in your lineup every week as a low wide receiver one, high end wide receiver two. But I don't think he's going to be somebody that, we were hopeful about, like maybe he can be into that like Jamar Chase, Amon St. Brown, Justin Jefferson tier after the season. And it doesn't look like he's going to make that leap.
It's been a lot. I think it's been less about Odunze and it's been more about the actual pass volume for the Bears offense.
Mhm.
That just feels like it keeps going down, and so much of that is coming out of the bye. The Bears have been able to run so much better. Like their zone running actually looks great. Like DeAndre Swift looks like a legit good NFL running back, which he does this, and I promise you, Dave, he does this every year where he's got
Oh,
like
yeah.
four
Yep.
games where he's like
Yep.
really good, and I think we're on that. I think we just finished game number 2, so he's got like 2 more weeks here where he's going to be really good. Oh, and look at that. Next 2 opponents, Baltimore, Cincy, 3 games, and the Giants. 3 teams that give up a ton of points to running backs. This is going to be the 5-week streak for DeAndre Swift, and then it's just all going to fall off a cliff.
And I think lost in the DeAndre Swift huge game because, he had 124 yards on the
Manungai.
ground, had another 14 through the air, but Kyle Manungai was very involved as well too,
That's
and
my
also looked good,
Manungai.
averaging over 6 yards per carry. So, it's good to see. We talk about this all the time. That post bye bump, and Manungai has come out of the bye, getting a little bit more action. This could be more of a split backfield, but I think now we're seeing that when they split the backfield, the efficiency for both of these guys goes up, and they have such nice complementary skill sets. This is what I'd like to see. More of what we saw on Sunday. I'd like to see going forward for the Bears. Just good run blocking up front, and then 2 running backs with good complementary skill sets, both being efficient in their roles.
My follower from this game is Alvin Kamara, and he kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Like he's just kind of not good at football anymore, and it's like it stinks to watch such talented players. And I listen, Alvin, if you're watching, I'm sorry. That sounded way more harsh than it was. You're a fantastic football player. The performances have not been up to your standard, and I think you would agree to that. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. But it hasn't been up to the standard that we normally see, and we kind of like we flirt with this every year that the running efficiency is getting worse and getting worse. And you know what? It's like it's finally reared its ugly head where he can't really run the ball anymore, and he's not getting targeted the way that we've seen in the past. There's so many other pass catchers on this team that are getting targets, and Spencer Rattler's not really shown to be the dump off kind of guy. Like he is looking to extend plays, go for the big play downfield, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. And so Alvin Kamara, he's actually one of the most dangerous kind of players in fantasy football because you have to keep starting him because he is a starter for his team. He has touchdown upside, he has reception upside, but then he gets you 8 fantasy points a week, and that's what kills you more than anything. To me, Alvin Kamara is actually one of the most dangerous players in fantasy football right now.
Yeah, and I'd exercise a little bit of patience with Camaro just because Kendra Miller went down with a knee injury that like immediately declared out. So we don't like that. So if Kendra Miller misses any time, at least the volume is going to be there. And I look at the next few matchups coming up. You got the
They're
Buccaneers. That's going to push them
bad.
into a negative game script where they are going to have to throw the ball, I believe. Same thing with the Rams. And then they've got a soft matchup against Carolina. So I can at least see like enough volume if Kendra Miller has to miss some time to make Alvin Kamara, a guy you're relying on as an RB2 over the next few weeks. But once Kendra Miller comes back, yeah, I mean, if they're splitting touches, I don't want an aging running back with poor efficiency on a bad offense who's splitting touches. But if Kendra Miller's not in the lineup and he's getting all of the workload, at least there's enough volume there that I can talk myself into continuing to start him.
Yeah, I'll need to look in because I know obviously these next 3 opponents, actually Tampa Bay, the Rams, and the Panthers, are actually really good against the run. What I want to look at is how they are against pass catching backs, and so
Mhm.
that'll be interesting. Because the thing is, like, yeah, this is why I say he's the most dangerous, right? Is because he can get this target volume, but 3 catches on 6 targets for 12 yards, like, just isn't helping anyone. It's a PPR scam that still only gets you maybe double digit points if you can get there with 10 points. Like that's not what you drafted the guy to be. So like that's why I get when there's not even a good game where you can say like, ah, good, you could finally sell on him, because there just haven't been the touchdowns. There hasn't been, and Dave, one touchdown on the season. It was in week
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Like it's rough sledding out here. And I know that the Saints lost, but like they're weirdly not playing all that terrible.
Yeah. The Bucks
Um,
next week, third most fantasy points allowed to running backs through the air. So
okay,
maybe,
there we go.
maybe next week we
Maybe,
see something there. And that's
maybe.
just because teams are always trailing against the Bucks and they have to throw the ball to running backs often late in the game. So we'll see how that one works out. But yeah, not willing to completely panic on Alvin Kamara quite yet.
It's Taysom Hill time, baby. Taysom Hill. All right, next game on here. Eagles beat the Vikings 28-22. Can we stop talking about AJ Brown and the targets he wants and how unhappy he is, and Devontae Smith? It's just the Eagles have totally flipped around. I'm just going to say both my riser and faller here, because the risers are the receivers. The Eagles are now a passing team. Didn't see that coming. And the faller's Saquon Barkley, because they just don't run the ball anymore. When they do, it's not even that efficient. So yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts looking like one of the best deep ball passers in the leagues, in the league, excuse me. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, they're getting volume. They're incredibly efficient.
Mhm.
AJ Brown is out there making just insane plays. He looks like a bulldozer with a rocket strapped to his back. Like when he's out there going up against the secondary, it's just nuts. Like I'm watching him go up. He's double covered. He's catching the ball and then still breaking tackles as he keeps going. It was a play towards the end of the game where he was just like, you know what? It was it's like Goldmember when Michael Caine looks at one of the henchmen. He's like, you don't even have a name tag, just fall down. And like that's kind of what like AJ Brown. He's like, you know what? Like I'm tired. I'm just gonna fall down. Like I'm just gonna let the
Mhm.
game end here. And like that's the Eagles were just
You
toying
did
with the
see it
Vikings,
seemed like he was
honestly.
about to go superhuman, like he was breaking tackles, throwing defenders around, and it's like he's about to have like, a career defining touchdown. And then he was just like, nah, game's over. I'm
He
just gonna
pulled the
nap.
Forrest Gump where he's just like, I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go
Yep.
home now. Like he
Yep.
was
That
just
was
done, dude.
exactly what it was. Yeah. And I'm with you. I mean, my risers, I'll throw Jalen Hurts in there as well. I mean, 326 yards. That's the most passing yards he's had in a game since 2022. Like we have seen this offense has just focused so hard on establishing the run, and Saquon just isn't doing it right now. I mean, it's just every single week the efficiency numbers get worse. I talked about it a couple weeks ago that like, he was averaging a 20 plus yard rush on 1 in 22 attempts last year. He's got over 100 rushing attempts this year. Hasn't had a single one go for more than 20 yards yet. And it's just the volume's there, but he hasn't scored more than 20 PPR points in a game yet this year. He's not ripping off the big plays. It's pretty bad. So they're going to keep giving him the ball, but it wouldn't surprise me if as we get deeper into the year, we start seeing more AJ Dillon, more Tank Bigsby, more Will Shipley, if we start to see a little bit of a rotation here, because there just isn't that burst from Saquon that we have grown to be accustomed to.
Yeah, I mean, Will Shipley is hurt. AJ Dillon, I believe, was a healthy scratch or got demoted to running back 3.
And then we
And
saw
so like
Bigsby come out with his like one good touch.
yeah, Tank Bigsby was, I guess, the other guy. Like, I don't think I want to suggest that we're going to see some sort of a timeshare. I actually think that the Eagles just still don't know what they are. I think the Eagles really don't know what they are. This offensive coordinator has not really set things up where they could go into a game and have a consistent game plan. They went from being run heavy to pass heavy. I think they're going to fall somewhere in between, because I don't think you keep going 2-3 more weeks with, hey, let's keep giving Saquon 8 to 10 touches in a game. Like that's just insane for what they're going to do. Um, I I think they are confused, if I'm going to be quite honest here.
Yeah.
Um, Dave, the Vikings are also kind of confusing. Like we've got good performances from Jordan Addison, who's one of your risers. But one of your followers, also Jordan Mason, who was one of mine too. I didn't write it here, but um, I have a hard time looking at the Vikings and saying that they're anything right now, because everything is happening with Carson Wentz. Like I just think that we don't know what's going to happen with this team or their players when JJ McCarthy comes back and Aaron Jones
Did
comes
you see
back.
how Adam Schefter is kind of rewriting history? Did you see he got community noted the other day?
What do
Because
you say?
he was the one that, it's Adam Schefter. He breaks all the stories. And
Sure.
when JJ McCarthy first injured his ankle, he said, 2 to 4 week absence. And then yesterday he was on TV and he shared a clip where he's like, just as we said when JJ McCarthy first got hurt, we're expecting about a 6 game
Wah-wah.
absence here, and got hit with the community note. Like, actually, Adam, you reported that it was a 2 to 4 week absence. So I'm starting, I totally brushed off the soft benching narrative when that first came out. But I don't know, man. Like we're heading like over a month away from this sprained ankle now, and it sounds like
If,
we're still getting Carson Wentz again next week. This might be a soft benching.
but like they're losing. That's where I
So
differ, right? Like,
how bad is JJ McCarthy if they'd
well,
rather continue putting Carson Wentz out there? Like
I
they're seeing this up close every day. We aren't, but like clearly there's something wrong with JJ McCarthy if they're willing to just keep putting this version of Carson Wentz on the field week after week.
I am full on Mr. Conspiracy Theorist. I love it. Like I'm tinfoil hat. I'm there. I don't think that this one is it. Like they're losing consistently with Carson Wentz. A soft benching would be like, let's have him sit for a couple games and bring him back when the team is losing so that he can be the savior. They're losing. This would be the time to bring him back. So if they keep him on the bench, that doesn't help them. It doesn't help anyone. Like, and maybe this is a little too narrative-y. Like, I just don't think Kevin O'Connell is that kind of guy. Like, he hasn't shown that. Like, he's been like, screw it. We'll start Daniel Jones. We're going to win games anyways, right? We'll start Josh Dobbs. We'll do whatever it takes to win games, and we're going to start whoever it is at quarterback. So I don't know, man. Like, maybe the injury is worse than we thought, but I think this is such a weird game because these are two teams that I think don't know who they are, but like someone had to win. And the Eagles, honestly, passing game looked fantastic.
And I just don't see when you like comfortably put JJ McCarthy back in the lineup. Their schedule is brutal, and we know this. Like every NFC North team has a tough schedule this year. But the next matches coming up, they've got the Chargers, the Lions, the Ravens, the Bears, the Packers, the Seahawks. Like these are all very good defenses. And I don't know if like you want to McCarthy, who's struggling with some confidence issues right now, coming back from an ankle, could be limited with his mobility. Like, I don't know how you feel good about plugging him into any of those matchups.
Yeah, like I don't know if you can start him week 8 against the Chargers. Maybe you can after you've just seen how Daniel Jones can play against them, and you say, okay, there's a formula, and then we've got Detroit light defense, Baltimore light defense, Chicago. Sorry, they're getting better. They're playing better. Um, dude, it's so weird. It's so weird. It's just going to be one of those things to track. That's why like I can't get on board like the Jordan Addison train right now, where it's like, man, looked good, had some great production. How does that fall off?
That's the thing. I
I
feel
don't
good
know.
about Jordan Addison now. I mean, Justin Jefferson, you're still plugging him in as a wide receiver one, but like when McCarthy comes back, I think we do need to like reshape how we feel about all of these pass catchers.
Let's go to the next game because we're running way behind. We're gonna have to lightning speed through these. Panthers beat the Jets 13-6 in the pillow fight of the week. Riser Rico Dowdle, who has it seems like just totally established himself as the RB1 despite the split, played better, got more touches, and yeah, like I just think Rico Dowdle's a plug and play RB2 every single week for the rest of the season, unless we find out otherwise. Dave, who's your riser?
My riser in this one, Xavier Legette. I don't know if I'm really buying into it. Like this does seem a little bit fluky, but had a huge game in this outing, and like to see that. And this is so funny too, because like this should have been just the Legette bust week. Like he hasn't done anything this
Right, like you
season.
think if he
Jalen
gets just
Coker comes
relegated
back.
back to the bench.
Right. And then, of course, like, I'm the guy who tells my wife Monday morning, she goes, "Hey, can you take a look at my fantasy lineup?" And I was like, "Baby, you don't want Xavier Legette in your lineup. Like, don't do that. Like, find somebody else." And of course, I caught a lot of flack for telling her to bench Xavier Legette. But like, who started Xavier Legette this week? Like, if you started Xavier Legette, good for you. I don't even know how you came to that conclusion, but yeah, it just felt like such a potential letdown week for Legette. And then he comes out and smashes. So like to see that. Maybe it was just that like the offense was focusing on the other weapons there. Sauce Gardner, covering Tedero McMillan before he went out with the injury, but we saw almost nothing from Jalen Coker. So good for Legette. He's a riser, but I'm not putting him back in lineups next week.
Yeah, I think this was definitely more game specific and situational. Like it's the same reason that we all thought Jalen Coker might have a big game.
Right.
Panthers don't have anyone else besides Tedero McMillan. He's going to get the Sauce treatment. But all these things just happened instead of it being, because had it been Jalen Coker getting peppered with 10 targets, we're saying, see, told you. But the fact that it was Xavier Legette, we're like, oh, well, that's weird. So once again, I think it's a team that doesn't quite know what their hierarchy is at wide receiver, except for Teteroa McMillan being the top guy. So I'm just gonna chalk this up to being the game. My faller actually both of us have the exact same fallers. It's Justin Fields and Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba, I think, is just the obvious one, right? Like, it's just he lost his job. He got Wally pipped. He lost his job, and he'll be a rotational guy. Which, by the way, it's not crazy to say like maybe Chuba Hubbard should be one of the guys that gets traded to one of these teams.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chuba Hubbard and the Chiefs feels like it makes some sense.
Team captain, you don't see that often, and I know that's like what a lot of people have been holding on to is that Chuba is one of the captains there, but it's also a backup right now. I mean, Dowdle is just playing out of his mind.
This is what we do, man. Fantasy football. We wish cast things, and I know we're gonna get so many people. You don't trade him. He's a good running back. You need to have two in the end. I get it. I get it, guys. It's a podcast. This is what we're supposed to do. Say stupid things into a mic for entertainment. We're just dancing monkeys. Justin Fields though,
Yeah.
benched, and
Thank God they benched him because, Tyrod Taylor went out there in the second half and threw some really, really just awful ball. Like, what is the plan here? Like, what does Tyrod Taylor bring to this team? Like, Justin Fields is bad too. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's not like they're
don't be
getting
an
good plays from
apologist.
I just don't understand what the plan is here. Like, Tyrod Taylor might be
That's
worse than Justin Fields.
they both suck. And but like with Tyrod, you kind of understood it and you know what he is. Like he can keep drives alive a little bit longer. He's not getting sacked as often. Um, this is also a game, like if I'm not mistaken, Dave, right? Like we didn't have Garrett Wilson here, so like we're not
Right.
seeing the best of this offense.
Right.
I had to my brain was playing tricks on me because we were all gassing up Mason Taylor, Mason Taylor, Mason Taylor. Josh Reynolds could get some deep shots here, right? Got the targets, but it's a bad team. It's a bad team, but at least with them, the reason I say the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL because the Dolphins are like so strapped for their cash and they're just tied to so many people. The Jets can just hit reset again. And like I
Right.
know that just hurts Jets fans and it hurts the players, but like you've got an asset, you can trade Breece Hall, get yourself some picks. You can start over at quarterback with the number 1 or number 2 pick this year. You can fire Aaron Glenn and get a brand new head coach to work with that quarterback, whatever it is. Like there's so many things you can do differently. So yeah, like while I think it sucks for the Jets that it's a wash, like Justin Fields, I think this was the risk that you assumed when picking him for your fantasy team is that like he might
Right.
not make it through the season, whether that was, and we've seen it in years past, whether it's through injury or benching, like this has happened. This is not something new, but however, like when he is in there, we know he has the rushing upside.
Shout out to the Jets, though. I love that after that cheap shot that he took on the slide, did you see like the entire Jets team just started like stomping the dude that did that to him, which like, good. Yeah, I like to see that. Like I saw a lot of cheap
Gotta
shots.
say, my TV was not flashing over to the 13-6 Jets Panthers game a whole lot.
Yeah, he went for a slide, took a shot to the head, and they had to evaluate him for concussion. But like immediately, like he took that hit, and like 6 Jets players just ran over and just started stomping the guy that put a hit on him. Which we don't see a lot of that in today's NFL. Like sticking up for your quarterback. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah, promote the stomping of other players. Next game. Patriots defeat the Titans 31-13. You and I both have the same riser, same faller. It's Ramondre Stevenson as the riser, Trevion Henderson as the faller. The vibes have never been worse. Like it's just they continue to deteriorate. We jokingly said this in the tiers and rankings episode for the running backs and wide receivers that we did on Thursday, where Mike Vrabel could absolutely it's a Mike Vrabel revenge game against the Titans. He could just go full Vrabel and give Ramondre all the touches, and that's exactly what he did.
Elevating a guy the day before the game from the
It's
practice
crazy.
squad and then giving him 3 times as many touches as Travion Henderson. It's never been more over.
What
And of course, now that
happened?
we say that, Travion Henderson's going to explode. But like, yeah, we saw in the preseason, like first touch of his career, he goes for like 100-yard touchdown. Like we know this guy has so much juice, and I don't know. Like
It
I
just
started
defies
writing my
logic
article
at this
last night,
point.
and I was like, I think the only reasonable explanation is that Travion Henderson like insulted Mike Vrabel in a team meeting and hurt his
Like he
feelings.
called
Like
his
I don't
wife
know what
ugly or
else is
something.
happening.
Like this is just unprecedented amounts of shade where Trevion Henderson just like can't even get on the field. Not even to it'd be one thing if they said, okay, we're just relegating him to a pass catching role. But like that's not even happening, Dave. It's not happening. 0 targets in this game. Like it's
Yeah.
just not happening. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand the premise behind drafting a player early in the NFL draft, a near first round pick, and then just saying, you know what? We don't want to use him. And we're going to keep using the guy that's fumbling. Granted, Ramondre, big game this week. And honestly, I think he has to stay as a starter in fantasy where he's
Yeah.
probably a flex player week in and week out for you. I wouldn't say quite an RB2, but he's a flex player. And Trevion Henderson, I know you can't start him anymore, obviously. I don't think you ever really could, even though we were all holding out hope for that big game. I think the bigger question for a lot of people now is can you just drop him? I wouldn't because he's one of those stash guys you want to hold on to, but I get it in deep in shallow leagues where people are saying I just need to clear some bench space and get someone who can actually produce for me.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like the reports from around the draft is like all these teams were calling the Patriots, like trying to trade up for Travion Henderson, and the Patriots were like, "No, like we got big plans for this guy." I don't know what's going on. This could just be like old school hard coaching, trying to bring out greatness in somebody that they think has it. I mean, we've seen Bill Belichick and McDaniels and Vrabel, like all these guys kind of have this like weird coaching philosophy. That could be what this is. But yeah, like you said, like Travion Henderson, nowhere near a starting lineup right now. I think you're holding on to him as a stash, but yeah, absolutely, droppable in shallow formats and not worth a look in lineups in any formats.
Are is this too big brain here that maybe with the Patriots being a team that is contending for the AFC East and they're one of the better teams in the AFC, do you think they are saving him for a late season run, a playoff run? Like this seems like the most big brain thing ever, right? But it's just like as soon as other teams have you figured out, boom, we're gonna add this new wrinkle. That seems like something that a guy like Vrabel could be doing. Be like, man, just wait till the rest of the league sees this. You know?
It could, but also like outside of that first touch in the preseason that went for 100 yards, Trevion hasn't really done anything impressive this year. Like, you go back and you watch his
Neither of
tape.
these guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd say like Ramondre Stevenson has broken tackles and he's made some nice downfield catches and plays after the catch and after contact and those things. But like Trevion Henderson, when you watch him, like every time he gets a carry, it seems like he just goes 3, 4 yards downfield, gets hit by a defender, falls over. And maybe that's it, is like they know that he has more that he just hasn't been showcasing. And
Mhm.
Ramondre Stevenson definitely hasn't been great. I mean, a handful of nice plays because he's got more opportunities, but he's also had fumbles and he's had a lot of losses and drops as well. I don't know what's going on here, to be honest, but yeah, I think, like you said, Ramondre Stevenson, you're putting him in your lineup and you're benching Travion Henderson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. All right, Colts defeat the Chargers 38-24. Both of us have the same riser, Arande Gadsden the second. Dave, who this is not just a stash play anymore. This is not just a spot start anymore. This is a tight end that you can start every single week. The performance was incredible this week.
Yeah, I mean, 55 pass attempts definitely helps because we saw Quentin Johnson get a touchdown. We saw Keenan Allen get the touchdowns. We saw Lad McConkey involved. We saw Rondé Gadsden involved. And I don't think you can count on that every single week. Like, a normal passing attack probably isn't going to support 4 fantasy relevant players. But I was really interested to see how he would look when Quentin Johnson was back, because so much of his week 6 opportunities were just that, yeah, he was kind of plugged into that Quentin Johnson role as an outside receiver. But even with Quentin Johnson back, with Keenan Allen and Lad McConkey out there, he was still very much so a full-time player. So I will say it feels like every single time we feel like we have like a sure thing, pick this guy up off of waivers and put him in your lineup tight end. It has not worked out once this year, but maybe this time will be different. Maybe this is the guy that actually does
Did it work for
step
those
up.
people? No, it never does. But it can
I
work
mean,
for
it's
us.
like every single time we see a tight end, it's like, oh my gosh, Juwan Johnson, like 28 targets over the last 2 weeks, and then he gives you a dud. And then like Mason Taylor, 23 targets over the last week and a dud. But Gadsden, this is a guy with NFL bloodlines, obviously a very, very good athlete.
Dolphin
I mean,
bloodlines.
yes, exactly. His entire career, his dad's entire career was with the Dolphins. And yeah, I mean, I think you're putting him in lineups next week, but also we've done this song and dance a handful of times already this year.
Yeah, it's like it's different though. It's you kind of have to take notice when guys have unprecedented or historic performances, Dave. Looking at this here, most yards by a Chargers rookie tight end in a game, most yards by a rookie tight end in the NFL in a game since 1985.
Wow.
Third most receiving yards for a rookie tight end in a game ever.
Wow.
7 catches, 164 yards and a touchdown. It's the fluidity. It's everything that you like about his athletic profile when he was coming out in the NFL draft. He's a former wide receiver. There's a lot of just Darren Waller to how he runs. Like
Hmm.
you mentioned, Jawan Johnson. Um, it's easy to get romantic about this kind of player. It really, really is. You see how they play and you're like, oh yeah, guy's a superstar. The problem is like how consistent will that be? I do think just with the way that tight end is just in disarray, like
Right.
you're looking each week and saying like, okay, am I starting Kyle Pitts or Ronnie Gadsden the second? And with just how up and down, I know Kyle Pitts has been
Yeah.
good.
I was gonna say,
Um,
I think I might be going Bits.
right, but like that's where we're at is like that neither of these guys were considered starters a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'll
like
put
I
it this
think
way. The tight end landscape is bad enough that in my rest of season rankings, I moved him up to tight end 13. I mean,
yeah,
like, he'll probably be starting in most lineups, but, it wasn't also all that long ago that Mason Taylor was right around that spot as well. So things change quick for these rookie tight ends, but
this is a
Gadsden,
different
yeah,
offense
a
though.
good talent on a good offense, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right, next game on here. Oh, sorry. Faller from this game was from both of us, Kamani Vidal,
Yeah,
and we kind of
obviously.
like
Yeah.
not to pat the back like we predicted this. We said it. It's just like
Doesn't get to play
the
Miami every
Dolphins.
week.
Right, exactly. I think we'll keep that simple. Packers beat the Cardinals 27-23. My riser is Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah.
He just consistently is getting targeted, and um, Dave, you won't know this meme, but it's like Dr. Manhattan. This is from Watchmen comics, where he's just like sitting on I can't remember if it's the moon or
Oh, I know what
Mars or
you're doing. Yeah.
whatever, and it's just like the year is whatever, and I am still waiting for XYZ, right? Like it just keeps the year. It's week 11, and I'm still waiting for the Matthew Golden breakout, and like maybe it's just not going to happen. Maybe it does happen, but regardless of whether that happens or not, Romeo Dobbs just continues to get targeted over and over and over, and I still think it's the Guardian cap. It's the Great Gazoo hat that he's got that makes him so easy to be seen. But yeah, man, like he's got to be a riser for this team. Dave, who's your riser from this game?
My riser in this one is Emmanuel Wilson, just because we saw that he is the very clear number two here, and he was
Yep.
involved in a game where Josh Jacobs was a little bit limited. And I don't know why. It's just like I randomly get infatuated with certain players in certain weeks. And last week it was like Emmanuel Wilson and Trey Tucker when I'm just like digging deep in all my leagues trying to see if there's some gold available. And he got picked up in a handful of leagues before the game on Sunday, but like going into Sunday morning, he was available in 97% of leagues, still available in 75% of leagues out there. And this is a guy who, if Josh Jacobs does have to miss time, would be a top 10, top 15 weekly play. I don't understand why he's still available in so many leagues. In the preseason, there was a lot of, is it going to be Marshawn Lloyd? Is it going to be Chris Brooks? Is it going to be Emmanuel Wilson? And I think halfway through the season now, nearly, we have a pretty clear idea that it's going to be Emmanuel Wilson, but still, for whatever reason, available in a lot of leagues and worth a pickup.
Yeah, I mean with Marshawn Lloyd, the thing is he's on IR, and so like we
Right.
don't know exactly when he's going to be back. It could potentially be soon. I'm trying to look at the reports here, and a lot of it is just like soon. We should get him back soon. We just
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I want to go back.
yeah.
Romeo Dubs, you talked about him real quickly. I do want to go back to this. The target share is obscene this year, and I don't think
Mhm,
people realize it. He's got a
mhm.
higher target share than Lad McConkey, Ricky Pearsall, Chris Godwin, Khalil Shakir, Calvin Ridley, Josh Downs, T. Higgins. He's got a higher target share than CeeDee Lamb, obviously skewed by the one game that he left with injury. But like Josh Dobbs is out here like actually drawing targets like an NFL wide receiver one this year, and people just want to keep writing it off for whatever reason.
I'm sorry. Sadness just struck me. Ian Rappaport saying on the Miami Dolphins, no changes are expected at this time, I'm told. Just
Sorry.
totally just totally unserious franchise. Just a totally unserious franchise.
Oh my goodness.
I just life has no meaning. All right. The followers from that game. We both put the Cardinals running
Like
backs.
we each picked a different one.
Each of them, like it's just
Yeah.
awful from both.
Yeah.
Michael Carter, Bam Knight. Like Michael Carter, at least I was like, oh, there's a passing opportunity here, right? Like he can catch some passes, and no, doesn't matter. And they're both.
Would you trade these guys for Trey Benson?
What do you mean
If
trade
you've got
these guys for Trey Benson?
like if you're in a fantasy league and you've got Michael Carter or Bam Knight, send an offer out for Trey Benson. Is that something you think might get accepted? Because I'd
Absolutely
rather
not.
just take like the 0 for the next few weeks and hope to get Trey Benson back because like these guys are both just awful.
I mean, Benson should be back soon. No, like I know we're
Weeks.
going into.
Yeah, he'll miss 2 more games and then he can come back, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I'd prefer just taking Benson over the second half of the season than even worrying about what these guys are gonna do over the next couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, but I don't think anyone's taking that trade. So Benson has
Probably
missed 3 games. They have the bye in week 8, and he'll miss the week 9 Dallas game. So he's back in week
week
10.
10,
So I mean, but you were taking a 0 this upcoming week, anyways. It's week
right?
8. So I don't think anyone has Trey Benson, and they're saying, oh, thank God, I can go and grab Bam Knight to give me the one game against Dallas. So yeah, I mean, I'd make that trade if someone in my league is doing it. Sure. I mean, I think regardless, you should be going out and looking for Trey Benson anyways, especially with the team on bye. He's on IR. Go make your moves. But yeah, both these running backs, they kind of just stink. They're just not very good at football. It's not very good for fantasy. They're going into a bye. It's just an awful time for the Cardinals backfield. Let's go to the next game. Cowboys beat the Commanders 44-22. Commanders look kind of broken, Dave. There was a lot of excitement for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, for Deebo Samuel, for so many different parts of this team and this offense. And I know Deebo didn't play, and neither did Terry McLaurin, but Jaden Daniels leaves this game with an injury, and I know that there's going to be all over like a lot of the football shows, on TV. Is he injury prone? This is what we were worried about with his thin frame when he was coming into the league. I think we can just skip over that stuff. I think it's just a natural faller right now because he's going to be out, and the offense as a whole just doesn't look great right now.
Yeah, and already got that big bulky knee brace on his left knee as he's been coming back from that knee sprain, and now he's got an injury to his right hamstring as well. So much of Jaden Daniels' fantasy production comes through from his abilities as a rusher. So if
Mm-hmm.
that is impacted whatsoever, that really takes the ceiling off of Jaden Daniels. So yeah, pretty big faller for me as well. George Pickens, also another faller. Like, you're still plugging him in your lineup as a wide receiver too. Like, he still makes these
Sure.
spectacular plays, but CeeDee Lamb showed up, and I think there was a lot of talk about like, hey, maybe it's like a 1A, 1B type of situation. No, CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver 1. George Pickens went back to his role as a wide receiver 2, just 4 catches on the game. Makes for a solid wide receiver 2 that you're plugging into your lineup every single week, but that top 3 pace we were looking at without CeeDee Lamb isn't going to last while he's there.
No, and we thought that. I will say, like, the target, there wasn't a big disparity in targets. Some of that is maybe easing CeeDee Lamb back into the game himself. CeeDee Lamb did have less snaps than Pickens,
Right.
but he ran more routes, got one more target, and he had the big play, right? Um, I actually think for me, the winner from this game, the riser, is Jake Ferguson. Is that his role feels kind of cemented. I know there was like a big thing on TV about them saying Jake Ferguson wore Dak Prescott's high school uniform
So
jersey
dumb.
coming into the game, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Um, I just think that there is an actual role for him that doesn't go away by CeeDee Lamb being back. They just play such different positions out there. Where I do think like there's a possibility where all 3 of these players, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson, can all do 3 different things, and the Cowboys pass enough where they can all be relevant. And I think that's the big takeaway, is that like all 3 of these guys can be fantasy starters week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me like to actually raise Jake Ferguson because I've had him as my tight end 3 for the last month now, and like
Oh
I
yeah, wow, okay,
yeah, I can't
I
put him
wasn't
ahead of
there.
Trey McBride. I can't put him ahead of Tyler Warren, but I mean, I guess you can argue that like he and Tyler Warren are really, really close. But yeah, Jake Ferguson, I mean, he's just been unbelievable this year. Maybe one of the best. I mean, I feel like so many of the best values that you got in fantasy drafts
Tight
this year
end
were for
one,
Cowboys. Yeah,
tight end one in fantasy football right now.
yeah.
Um,
And then also Javante Williams was falling to like round 10 in fantasy drafts. And I mean, I moved him ahead in this week's batch of rest of season rankings. I got Javante Williams ahead of Saquon Barkley. I don't care. Like, he has been better than Saquon Barkley. Like, he is career best in every single efficiency metric. Most broken tackles of his career, most breakaway runs of his career, most yards after contact of his career. This guy's 25 years old, playing unbelievable football with no competition for touches on a good offense. I don't understand. Like, I'm toying with putting him ahead of Josh Jacobs, and I can't get there. But right now, I got Javante Williams as my RB8 rest of season.
I think at some point, like the way we felt in the preseason doesn't matter anymore. The way
Right.
we felt after 1 or 2 weeks doesn't matter anymore. Fantasy football and the NFL is very much what have you done for me lately. Sure, Javante had a down week in the week prior, but we've seen a big enough sample size here where we're just like,
Mhm.
oh, he's good. Like it's
Yep.
not just a Cowboys thing, it's not an opponent's thing. He is good. This guy needs to be a top 12 running back rest of season. Like that's just where he needs to be. All right, two games left here, Dave. Let's go to the Falcons and 49ers game. Who is your riser from this one?
Juwan Jennings, just because he looked somewhat healthy last night. I mean, this guy, like, what is it that he's dealing with? Like broken ribs, high ankle sprain, low ankle sprain, shoulder injury. Like, it sounded like this guy was just completely falling apart out there, but he looked better last night. He was, a little bit more agile and nimble than he looked a couple of weeks ago. Kind of took over that wide receiver one role from Kendrick Bourne again. So, he's a riser just on the simple fact that he appears to be somewhat healthy for the first time this year.
My riser from this one, Kyle Pitts, who, like I was alluding to earlier, it's you can kind of rely on him now, like as a tight end, like week in and week out, 9 targets in this game. And I know there's some frustration, right? Drake London managers, he's not. The Falcons have been kind of up and down with this offense, and I don't know. I feel like Michael Penix is a little bit like Trevor Lawrence, where you don't quite know if he's good, but you know that he can be a game manager. If he just gets the ball to his best players, then it does seem like that's what he's doing. Like it does seem like there is a chemistry here where he's just like, oh, Kyle Pitts is open. Okay, let me hit him. And like that, it's happening more often than not lately. And that's just something that stood out to me in this game.
You talk about Trevor Lawrence earlier, and I feel like that's so much what I see with Michael Penix, like where he's got
Hmm.
some of the athletic things that get us excited, but then also have these plays where it's like Bijan Robinson wide open in the flat. And like all you got to do is just like put the ball on him and he just like skips it to his feet. And it's like
Hmm.
he misses some of the easiest throws and makes some boneheaded decisions. But then every once in a while he makes a throw where you're just like slack jawed. Like, how did he fit that ball into that window? And I think that's just, a common thing for young quarterbacks. But yeah, I see a lot of Trevor Lawrence in Penix's game.
Dude, Kyle Pitts' schedule over the next like 6 weeks here:
Yeah.
Miami, New England, Indy, Carolina, New Orleans, New York Jets. Actually, let's go even further. Seattle. All of them are in the bottom 15 in points allowed to tight ends. A lot of
Nice.
top five
Yeah.
matchups there for Kyle Pitts. This is a good, could be a really good stretch for Kyle Pitts here as long as Michael Penix doesn't poop the bed. Speaking of tight ends, my faller from this game, George Kittle. I don't know what happened. This was so weird, Dave. Uh, 55 snaps, 24 routes run, 2 targets. I don't understand. Like why did he play? Why put him
Yeah.
out there?
I think they needed a win. Like, they just needed
Like
every
a
help they
moral
could get.
victory?
I think so, but also like I think it's easier to come back and block than it is to come back and run a ton of routes and make plays after the catch like he normally does. And we saw him like he was still mauling in the run game yesterday, doing exactly what he always does, kind of playing as like that sixth lineman. We just didn't see him getting too involved as a pass catcher. And I think that's just because they knew that they could just confidently keep giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey and he would just pick up 6 yards every single time he touched the ball, and that worked for him. I'm not panicking on George Kittle. I think this is just.
Not
I mean, did you hear
panicking,
the?
but it definitely like it does raise some concerns. How healthy is he really? Like going into next week, like you don't know if you can really start him.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got this. When you look at my rest of season rankings, it's Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, Tucker Kraft. Those guys are like the healthy elite guys, and then I still prefer Brock Bowers and George Kittle against the rest of the guys, just because if they do get healthy, their upside is so much higher. They're kind of like breaking that up for me, and then behind Bowers and Kittle, that's where I've got Laporta, Goddard, Pitts, Kincaid, Fannin, Gadsden, those guys. I still think that both Bowers, who's got the bye next week and hopefully will return after that, and Kittle, who's only going to get healthier as he gets further away from this injury. I still think these guys could have that league tilting upside late in the year.
Yep.
And you can have those big games from other tight ends, but I'm still going out and trying to acquire Bowers and Kittle where I can.
All right, let's go to our last game on here. Bengals beat the Steelers in what was, I think, the most fun game of the week. Like, despite the
Thursday Night
comeback from
Football
the
is awesome.
Broncos,
I love Thursday Night Football.
what a turnaround! Comeback game
Yes.
of like comeback just like entity for NFL right? Because Thursday Night Football used to be this thing that we all hated, we dreaded. It was a short week, it was ugly football.
Here, we're gonna give you the Titans and Texans, and you're gonna enjoy it. Like it was just always the worst matchups of the week too.
Like Bengals Steelers having Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco go up against each other was like watching Patrick Ewing on the Magic versus Hakeem Olajuwon on the Raptors. Like this was just old dudes that probably shouldn't be out there anymore on the wrong teams. And that's what you think going into it. And then they just give you this amazing game. The Bengals are so much fun to watch. Joe Flacco looks fantastic. My riser from this game is actually none of those guys that I mentioned. It's Jalen Warren, who just appears to have a very clean hold on the RB1 position here. Caleb Johnson went back to a 0 in the stat sheet. Kenneth Gainwell does not really seem to be taking anymore. Like this, I know this was going up against the Bengals, who have a bad run defense, but Jalen Warren was a big winner for me this week.
Yeah, my whatever document we were sharing this on is frozen right now, and I can't see it. But I'm looking at my notes from
So
the game.
your risers were T. Higgins and Chase Brown.
Yes, and my full list of risers from my notes: Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, Aaron Rodgers, Pat Fryermuth, Andre Yosavash, and Jalen Warren. I mean, this is just like I feel like you have to have some faith in both of these offenses now. Like, yeah, these dudes are old. The icy hot bowl. I love that that's what they were calling this one.
Yeah.
But they can keep their offenses afloat. And I think that, there's just reason to be excited about both of these teams and the playmakers on them. I don't have any fallers from this game because when both offenses are firing the way that they are, it's hard to draw a faller from this matchup. But Jamar Chase, top 3 wide receiver rest of the season. We know T. Higgins, I was doubting a little bit going into last week what he could look like, but he showed up with a huge outing as well. Jalen Warren maintaining his role just like Mike Tomlin told us he would. Andre Yosavash getting a decent amount of targets and some big plays in there. This isn't the Joe Burrow led Bengals, but like
Still
if we were
damn
looking at
good.
Joe Burrow, that's the Bengals at 100%. With Jake Browning, we saw that dip to like maybe 35-40%. And I feel like with Joe Flacco, they're still like around 85-90% of what they
I was
would have
about to
been.
say, yeah. This I saw the signs from the Bengals fans, Joe 2.0, because
Yeah,
he's just keeping it going, man.
Oh gosh, if they start calling him like Joe Burr or like something like a play off of his name. But the one play that jumped out to me that was like crazier than anything else that happened. Like we saw the big points and the production and all that stuff that we get excited about. But there was one play specifically where Jamar Chase was running. It was like a weird route that I don't even know what the name of it is, but it was like a slant and then he like whipped outside to the sideline. A whip route. Yeah, that's what it was. But
I was about to say.
I was like, I just
You
talked
got
myself through
there.
that one. Yeah, I got there. But yeah, like Joe Flacco, he put the ball up in the air
Before
while
he
Jamar
even
Chase was
turned.
still breaking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it looked like Jamar Chase was running a slant, and Joe Burrow, there we go, making the mistake. Joe Flacco just like lofts one up to the sidelines, and it's like to have that sort of chemistry, like 4 days after showing up to a team, gets me really excited about what this team's going to look like 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks from now.
So what's crazy is like you see that often, at least now, with some of these older quarterbacks. So like they can figure out timings of players pretty fast, and especially
Yeah.
these guys that are good route runners. The good route runners know where they need to be, and the quarterbacks can kind of feel, okay, this is how many steps he's going to take. This is when he's going
Right.
to do his break. I can see where his head is at. I can see the DB's hips, which direction they're pointed, like all of it. And they kind of know, and they can figure it out. Like that's why Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams have meshed so well.
Mhm.
It's ironic because I'm going to say that my faller from this game was DK Metcalf, and it's veteran quarterback and good receiver, but DK is not that same guy, and I think it doesn't make him a faller or yes, faller, but it doesn't make him a bad fantasy wide receiver. I think what you need to do here is put in context that you're just going to have to ride the roller coaster with DK Metcalf.
Of course.
This isn't even one of those where you're going to say like, oh, good matchup, good fantasy production, because we saw in this game it wasn't the case, right? Like it's a lot of it's just going to be touchdown based, and this was the sickness from Arthur Smith here and Aaron Rodgers, where we had 3 different tight ends score in this game. Maybe we're not going to have the DK Metcalf touchdown every week, and we probably shouldn't, but I mean, the target volume is just not typically there, Dave. The receptions have been extremely low. Like we're talking about 4 catches a game. I think you're just kind of riding that wave. Like he's a guy you're just going to put as your flex every week.
Yeah, and it's disappointing to see him coming off of like back-to-back big games with a lot of yardage and scoring touchdowns to come crashing back down to earth. But this is the type of player DK Metcalf is. I heard so many comps to like, oh, like Aaron Rodgers got his new Devontae Adams, and it's like these could not be more different
No.
players. Like DK Metcalf is not a Devontae Adams. He's not a guy who has that sort of technical prowess in his route running. He's not a guy who's going to be able to hit on those timing routes. He is a freak athlete. He's a 6'3", 260-pound Deshaun Jackson. And every once in a while, he's going to have those huge games where he can, rip off the 80-yard touchdown. But when those aren't hitting, you get a dangerous floor there. And I think that, this is just who DK Metcalf has always been. And I didn't expect him to take this like massive step forward this year.
Yeah, outside of those two big games, he's been a wide receiver 3 in fantasy.
Right.
And I think that's just where you keep him. Wide receiver 3 with upside. He's right along with like Jameson Williams, Xavier Worthy, a bunch of these other guys. You're like, oh, he can make it. Jordan Addison, like
Right.
wide receiver 3, they can make a big play. They can win me my week. But be ready for 8 points. That's just where it is. Dave, we did it. This was another one of these long episodes, man, but they are fun to go back through the whole week and discuss our risers and fallers. We're going to be back again tomorrow with our waiver wire picks for the upcoming week of fantasy football. Dave, we're going to need to get you healthy, man. You might have to go on IR for a little bit of time here.
Play through
Everyone
it.
in the comments
on it.
yeah, wish Dave all the health in the world. As always, I want to thank everybody for watching or listening all the way through. For myself, for Dave, we'll see you next time. Adios.